Good evening, I'm the Game Tutor, and tonight we're going to be looking at the first episode of Game of Thrones Iron from Ice, recently released by Telltale. Now firstly I'll start off by saying that unlike my usual gradings where I show you multiple scenes from the game, I'm going to leave the gameplay to just a single point in the story in an effort to try and spoil as little as possible. I won't be spoiling any storyline or plot elements during my speech, and what's going on in the background I would suggest you ignore, or if you're really that worried, simply listen to the audio. Now for years Telltale have honed their formula with the outstanding Walking Dead games and the recently released Tales from the Borderlands series. Now the Game of Thrones game is no real different, showcasing a strong subject matter with a decent blend of what Telltale does best, and that is excellent writing and adventure and storytelling. Now firstly, this game assures you have watched Game of Thrones, and I would say someone not familiar with the TV show and therefore a lot of this game will simply be lost on you. Now for the most part this is no bad thing, as you're immediately thrust into events from the show and every interaction feels meaningful and important. You feel like you're really there, really interacting with these key elements from the show rather than just being there alongside them. In this episode you play one of 3 Forrester characters that in later episodes becomes more, and each has a different tale to tell, but they all fit perfectly into the Game of Thrones universe. Now even in the TV show Game of Thrones is about difficult choices, and this you are thrust into with right from the off, and you really feel like your decisions matter to the story events that unfold, and figuring out the best way to act, so to speak, is rarely easy. In fact, quite often you are literally only given a few seconds to decide someone else's fate, and these decisions go on to have grave importance with the storyline later on. One thing I really liked though was the fact that you get the ability to say nothing, and that this is actually an option. Ever since the days of Monkey Island, I've always longed for the ability that in some situations you just want to say nothing and listen to the other person. Popular characters from the show make appearances such as Tyrion, Cersei and Marjorie, and interacting with these characters feels engaging and genuine rather than just being a list of cameos. In fact, the lack of many key characters actually adds to the feeling of immersion rather than taking it away. The writing in this game is outstanding, and in the approximate 2.5 hours I spent playing, I never once got up from the chair or thought about anything else really. This really is a Game of Thrones episode that you are involved in and you can play along in, and it gripped me by the balls every step of the way. Now, there are a few iffy things. The sections that involve walking around can get a little tiny bit dull, and to be honest, they're a bit unnecessary. And they pretty much slow the pace of the story down. Let's face it, this is a story-driven, interactive TV show, and having to walk around and answer the door to my room using a rather awkward movement system is quite a jarring experience. Equally, some of the animations and graphics can be a little buggy and juddery. At first I thought I had an issue with my graphics card, but this does seem to be a common complaint, and something that will hopefully be fixed for further episodes. Now while the gruesome nature of the show is out in full force here, the sexual nature of the show is very much missing from this game, and this is something that I'll be interested to see if it follows up in future episodes. To sum up, Game of Thrones Episode 1 Iron from Ice is made for die-hard fans. But if you fit this target market, it hits the ball right out of the park. You might want to go and watch the first few seasons first before you jump on board and travel into Westeros. For the next 2 months in our Steam group, we will be giving away free Steam keys every week exclusive to members. And if you've enjoyed our video, please bookmark our site, thegametutor.co.uk, and come check us out on Facebook, Twitter and Dailymotion.